Have you ever heard of narcissistic mortification? This term might sound a bit intimidating, but it's a fascinating psychological concept that we're going to delve into today. So, what is narcissistic mortification? Essentially, it's a profound feeling of shame, humiliation, or degradation that's often experienced by individuals with narcissistic tendencies. It's not your everyday embarrassment or guilt. It's an intense, often debilitating internal state of distress. The term originates from psychoanalytic theory, where mortification refers to the death of one's sense of self-worth or self-esteem. So when we talk about narcissistic mortification, we're talking about a severe blow to an individual's inflated self-image or grandiose sense of self-importance. It's as though their carefully constructed facade of superiority is shattered, leaving them feeling exposed and vulnerable. So, how is narcissistic mortification different from regular shame? Well, while regular shame is a common human emotion that we all experience from time to time, narcissistic mortification is typically more intense and longer lasting. It's a deep sense of shame that can be triggered by the slightest hint of criticism or rejection, and it can lead to extreme defensive reactions such as rage or withdrawal. Now you might be wondering, is narcissistic mortification a symptom of narcissistic personality disorder? The answer is yes, it can be. Narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, is a mental condition characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. Individuals with NPD are often highly sensitive to criticism or perceived slights, which can trigger episodes of narcissistic mortification. So, what causes this intense shame and humiliation known as narcissistic mortification? We'll be diving into that in our next segment. Stay tuned as we explore the triggers, reactions, and potential coping strategies for this complex psychological phenomenon. Narcissistic mortification isn't random. There are specific triggers. As we delve deeper into this topic, it's essential to understand that this intense shame can be sparked by various incidents. Generally, anything that threatens the inflated self-image of an individual with narcissistic traits can lead to mortification. One of the most common triggers is criticism. Even the slightest critique can cause a blow to the person's grandiose self-perception, leading to a deep sense of shame. Similarly, rejection, whether in a personal or professional context, can trigger this mortification. It's a direct assault on their self-worth and superiority. Failure, too, is a potent trigger. The narcissistic individual's self-esteem is often tied to their achievements. When they fail, it shatters this illusion of perfection they hold dear, causing profound mortification. So it's not about the magnitude of the trigger, but rather its impact on the person's self-perception. The question then arises, how do individuals with narcissistic traits react to these triggers? The reaction to narcissistic mortification can be quite intense. Imagine a castle under siege. The castle's defenses deploy as the enemy advances. Similarly, when an individual experiences narcissistic mortification, an array of defenses activate. These are often unconscious and automatically triggered, serving to protect the individual from the unbearable humiliation and shame. One common reaction is denial, a refusal to accept that the mortifying event has happened. This can create a buffer, allowing the individual to maintain their inflated self-view. Another is projection, where the individual deflects the mortification onto someone else, blaming them for the perceived failure or shame. In some cases, narcissistic mortification itself can serve as a defense mechanism. By experiencing extreme shame, the individual is forced to confront their own imperfections and vulnerabilities, which may prompt self-reflection and growth. However, this defense often comes at a high emotional cost and can lead to further complications if not properly managed. Now, can therapy help individuals experiencing narcissistic mortification? Therapy can be a powerful tool for managing narcissistic mortification. Therapeutic interventions can provide a safe space to explore and understand the roots of this intense shame. A skilled therapist can help individuals develop healthier coping mechanisms, replacing the destructive patterns often associated with narcissistic mortification. Let's talk about self-esteem. It plays a pivotal role in this scenario. Individuals with low self-esteem are more prone to experience narcissistic mortification, as they're often overly sensitive to criticism or perceived slights. On the other hand, those with a healthy level of self-esteem can better navigate these emotional waters, less likely to be mortified by incidents that challenge their self-image. Therapy can also bolster self-esteem, offering individuals the tools to build and maintain a more positive, realistic self-perception. This can be a crucial part of managing and even preventing narcissistic mortification. But what are the long-term impacts of repeated narcissistic mortification? Repeated narcissistic mortification doesn't just fade away. Like an echo bouncing off the walls of a dark cave, it reverberates through the psyche of the individual. Over time, this persistent echo can lead to profound and lasting effects. Imagine a grand castle built on a shaky foundation. This castle, an emblem of self-worth and self-esteem, is constantly under threat from the tremors of narcissistic mortification. The more frequent the tremors, the more the castle crumbles. This erosion can result in a diminished sense of self-worth, self-esteem, and self-confidence. But the impact doesn't stop there. It spills over into the realm of relationships. Like a ripple effect, the individual's interactions with others are also affected. Relationships can become strained as the individual's need for validation or fear of mortification drives their behavior. They may become overly defensive, constantly seeking reassurance, or even resorting to manipulation to avoid the sting of shame. In extreme cases, the frustration and anger stemming from repeated narcissistic mortification can lead to aggressive behavior. The individual, feeling cornered and belittled, may lash out in an attempt to regain control or protect their crumbling self-image. It's like a wounded animal. The more it's cornered, the more aggressive it is likely to become. Within the context of intimate relationships, this scenario can be particularly challenging. Partners may feel like they're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to avoid triggering the individual's mortification. This dynamic can lead to an imbalance, with one partner shouldering the emotional burden of maintaining the relationship's equilibrium. The long-term consequences of repeated narcissistic mortification are undeniably profound. They permeate the individual's sense of self, their interactions with others, and their overall quality of life. It's a complex web, a dance between the individual's internal world and their external relationships. But amidst all this, a question arises. How can someone cope with or prevent narcissistic mortification? This question will guide us in our next discussion as we explore coping strategies and preventative measures. There are effective ways to cope with and prevent narcissistic mortification. Let's dive in. First off, self-reflection is key. It allows individuals to understand the root of their feelings, thereby providing an opportunity to process and manage mortification. Next, empathy. By learning to empathize with others, individuals can better understand the impact of their actions, reducing the likelihood of experiencing mortification. Perfectionism also plays a role. It's important to understand that nobody is perfect. Embracing imperfections can help lessen the severity of narcissistic mortification. Now let's talk about prevention. Building healthy self-esteem is crucial. This involves recognizing personal worth apart from external validation. In addition, developing emotional resilience can help individuals handle criticism or perceived failure, thereby preventing mortification. Lastly, therapy can provide valuable tools and strategies for managing and preventing narcissistic mortification. So, do individuals with narcissistic traits recognize their own mortification? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this intriguing question. Recognition of one's own mortification can be a complex process. It's particularly challenging for those with narcissistic traits due to their inherent need to maintain a grandiose self-image. This struggle often leads to denial, a common response that serves as a protective layer against the harsh reality of their mortified state. However, it's not entirely impossible for individuals with narcissistic traits to recognize their own mortification. It requires a high level of self-awareness and introspection, often facilitated by professional therapy. In such cases, the acknowledgement of their mortification can be a crucial step towards healing and personal growth. Now, let's shift gears and delve into the role of cultural factors in narcissistic mortification. Culture, as we know, shapes our values, beliefs, and behaviors. It also influences our perception of self and others, thereby playing a significant role in how we respond to narcissistic mortification. Cultural norms that emphasize collective harmony and humility, for instance, may discourage overt displays of narcissism. In such societies, narcissistic mortification may be less prevalent or manifest in more subtle ways. On the other hand, cultures that value individualism and personal success might inadvertently foster narcissistic tendencies, making individuals more susceptible to narcissistic mortification. It's important to note, however, that narcissistic mortification is not exclusive to any one culture or society. It's a universal phenomenon that can occur in anyone, irrespective of their cultural background. The key difference lies in how it is expressed and interpreted within a given cultural context. In conclusion, recognition of narcissistic mortification, while challenging, is not beyond the realm of possibility, and the role of culture cannot be overlooked as it shapes the dynamics of narcissistic mortification in subtle yet significant ways. So, as we navigate through the complexities of human psychology, let's remember that our understanding of phenomena like narcissistic mortification is influenced by a myriad of factors, including our own cultural lenses, and that's a brief journey through the complex world of narcissistic mortification.